Okay, I'm going to be connecting my computer to a 5.1 surround sound system using a home theater receiver and my 5 speakers, my 5 satellite speakers, and a subwoofer, which is the 0.1. So the purpose of this is to play games in 5.1 surround sound and to also watch movies or Netflix in 5.1 surround sound. If you're just using a 2-channel system or a 2.1 channel system, meaning you only have your 2 stereo channels, there's no point really doing any of this because optical out of your computer, either your sound card, dedicated sound card, or your motherboard optical out, is good enough for just 2-channel. However, I want 5.1 uncompressed sound, so I have to use a receiver and HDMI cables. HDMI cables have more bandwidth than optical out. That's why optical out can only do 2-channel uncompressed, whereas HDMI can do the 5.1 channels all uncompressed. So I have a video where I show how to connect optical to a home theater receiver using my dedicated sound card or your onboard motherboard sound card. So go check that video out if you're just looking for like a 2-channel system or a 2.1 channel system. This video is for setting up a 5.1 system. So the way I'll be doing this is I will be using the GPU as the sound card. I will not be using my dedicated sound card, and I will not be using the motherboard sound card. I will be using the GPU on my HDMI out of the GPU. Now HDMI carries both audio and video, so both the video signal and audio is going to be coming out of my HDMI cable. So normally the way I have my system set up is I just do my video out of the GPU through HDMI to the HDMI input on my monitor, which is my TV. However, what we're going to be doing is also sending the audio out as well. Because when you go into your Windows sound settings and select the nvidia high definition audio, it'll also send sound out. I'll explain more in all the sound settings and how to set up the high definition audio after I hook everything up. So to begin this video, before I set any of this stuff up or change anything, I am going to set up all my speakers to the receiver first, just to make it simpler. So I am going to be using all 5 of these channels: front right speaker, front left speaker, center, and my 2 surrounds. And of course my 0.1 for the 5.1 system is the subwoofer outlet here. So I'm going to connect my speakers to the terminals on the receiver. If you're unfamiliar with how to do this, there's plenty of videos on YouTube connecting speakers to receivers. Okay, I got all my speaker wires connected from each terminal on the receiver to each speaker. So my front right, the positive and the negative, are going to my speaker on the positive and the negative. Make sure they match up for each channel. So yeah, I got my front left, front right, my 2 surrounds, my center channel, and then this will be my sub. I'll hook that up. So I'll hook the subwoofer cable up on the subwoofer pre-out, 1 or 2. I'm only running 1 sub, so I will put it into number 1. Kind of tricky to get in there. There. So that will run out to my subwoofer. Which I will plug into the LFE input. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to hook all the inputs and outputs up. Now obviously, put all your speakers, your sub, your center channel, your receiver all in place first so that when you run all your wires, like it's going through and underneath everything as it needs to go. I'm only plugging everything in like this just for ease of the video. So obviously now if I try to place my speakers, like I'm gonna have to disconnect everything and reconnect everything once I have everything in place for cable management. So my video card output goes to my TV, right, when I'm running normal. My output of my GPU to my TV. I'm gonna disconnect from my TV. Dirty. Dusty down here. And I'm gonna plug that into one of my inputs on the back of my receiver. Doesn't matter which one, you can select which one you're gonna input. There's just so many because you can have many different sources. Like I'll also plug my PS5 into one of the inputs so I can also use that. But I'll just plug it into this HDMI 1 input. So when I select my video card, my GPU as my sound output, it's gonna send the video and the audio out of one cable into the receiver, where the receiver now is going to become a sound card. It's also going to send the video signal out to my monitor, to my TV, but it's also going to take the sound that has come in through this cable, process it, digital to analog conversion, and then send it out through all the speaker channels. Okay, so now I'm going to hook up my receiver output to my monitor. This is my HDMI out. These are all HDMI ins. So now I'm going to hook up my monitor output. So it's going to send the signal from the receiver, which is coming from the GPU, out of the monitor and into my TV. Okay, so I'm just going to go over this once again, the way this is working. I am not using my dedicated sound card. I am not using my motherboard onboard audio. I'm going to select to use my GPU in the Windows sounds, and I'll show you how to do that. But my video and audio are both going to come through the same cable, through this cable, and into my receiver. I'm going to select this input on my receiver. The receiver is then going to take the video signal and send it out of this output to my TV. So I'll get my video. Now the audio that has come in on this cable will stop here and get processed. It'll get converted to an analog signal from the digital signal. The analog signal will then get sent to the amplifier inside the receiver. And then amplified signal, like each channel will get its own amplified signal. And each amplifier for each channel will send each of the proper, signals to each speaker. So the front right amplified signal will get sent to the front right speaker. The front left will get sent to the front left, and so on and so forth. Now your subwoofer cable, that 0.1, isn't actually getting amplified. Like the audio coming in is getting all broken into the 5.1 channels. The 0.1 channel is going to be sent digitally to the subwoofer, which takes the signal in. Your receiver is just cutting out that subwoofer signal and sending it to the subwoofer as a digital signal. The subwoofer, an analog signal, I screwed up. It's still sending that, it's taking that signal, converting it to analog, sending it as an analog signal to your subwoofer. However, it's not amplified yet. The subwoofer amplifier will amplify this channel and come out your subwoofer as sound. So that's basically it. Your receiver just takes all the information, all the signals, processes them and sends them to where they need to be, where they need to go. The video goes to the TV, the audio goes to the DAC, which is built in here, which does all the converting, sends it all to analog signals, and then each channel gets sent its own analog and amplified signal to each speaker, where we can now hear it. All 5.1 channels, all 6 channels. I hope this makes sense. I hope I'm explaining it right. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my TV. HDMI 2. Okay, so it's already set to the right input on the TV, and it's getting video from my GPU. My receiver is still off right now, so this video signal is just passing through and going to my TV. Now once I turn this on, it was already set on the right input and it's recognizing it as a GeForce RTX. See, I could change it if I wanted to. If I had a different source, like this is that HDMI input 2, this is 3. I need to go to HDMI 1, which is GeForce RTX 3090. Now it's recognizing it. So now I need to configure all my sound in Windows. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into my NVIDIA control panel, set up digital audio in my GPU. Okay, so my GPU is recognizing my receiver already, so it's good. If I wanted to disable the HDMI audio, I could just turn that off. However, I don't. I want to use it. So it's already recognizing it. Then I can open my Windows sound settings. So I'm currently still on my old output of my sound card, which I don't want to use. I want to use this one, Marantz AVR, NVIDIA High Definition Audio. Click that, we'll configure it. Right now it's set for stereo. I want 5.1 because I have 5.1 channels. Let's test it. Front left. I didn't really hear the subwoofer. Let me retest it. I could barely hear it, so I'll just have to play with the subwoofer settings a bit in the AVR. It is working though. So then we'll go to next. And then obviously if I wanted a 7.1 system, I would need 7 speakers with 1 subwoofer. So we'll go to next. Optional speakers. Yes, I have a subwoofer. Yes, I have a subwoofer. I have a center, I have a subwoofer, and I have a rear pair. Now you could, if you just had 2 front speakers, you could also do this. You would just turn off your center and you would turn off your rear pair. However, I want these. Next, full range speakers. I'm going to select these as no. The reason for that is because I have a subwoofer. If I didn't have a subwoofer, I would select these as full range. Full range meaning the entire spectrum of the, I guess, the sound that humans hear. Subwoofers are playing everything. I have mine set to play everything from 80 hertz and below, and my speakers will play everything 80 hertz and above. So if I select full range speakers, my speakers are also going to play 80 hertz and below, or attempt to. But I don't want to do that. I want to take the load off the speakers and send everything from 80 hertz to the sub. That's it. Now I will select that, my configured sound settings. Okay, before we move on, I just want to do a couple more settings here just to make sure everything's set up right. So I'm going to go into my sounds. Right, select the proper one, and then I already configured it. However, I want to go into properties. So you can see all the supported formats here. You got DTS audio, DTS HD, Dolby True HD, Dolby Digital, all uncompressed. So you're going to get the best quality going through HDMI. What else? Okay, I'm going to go to enhancements. Up here, click at enhancements. And I want to go to settings. I'm going to set my crossover at 80 Hertz. It already was there. 80 Hertz is what all movies are in. 80 Hertz meaning that all the sounds, like everything under 80 Hertz, like I said earlier, is going to go to the sub, and everything above 80 Hertz is going to go to the speakers. So you want to make sure that's at 80 Hertz. You can change it if you want. If you want to send, say, everything at 120 Hertz to the sub, everything below 120 Hertz you could. I like 80 Hertz. It's a good setting. And now I'm also going to go into my receiver settings because I forgot to show you something in there. Just go into speakers, manual, go to crossovers, speaker select all, and I want to set all my speakers as well to 80 Hertz. Sometimes out of the box, receivers might be set different. They might be at 100 Hertz or 120. I want everything set to 80 Hertz. And the last thing you can set to 80 Hertz is on your sub. You can't really see. But you'll also be able to set it at 80 Hertz here. Okay, so I'm just going to do another speaker test now that I got everything kind of set up in the places they should be, right? Obviously, it's not best if it's on the floor, and my sub should be probably in the corner over there, but for sake of this video, we're going with this. So I'm going to test this now. So my left, my right, so those are working. Okay, so I'm going to stop this because my center channel, when that one was going, here I'll do it again. I click center. It's not coming out of the center, it's coming out of the two left and right, and I know why that is. I bet you if I choose my surround sounds, they're also not coming out of my surround sounds. They're coming out of my front, left, and right. So all my sound is coming out of my front, left, and right, and I know why. So what we're going to do is go into the setup of the receiver, because I have all these surround channels disabled in my receiver. So I'm going to go into the menu, go to speakers, go to manual, go to speaker configuration. Okay, so my fronts are set to small, which is what I want. Center none, that's why I wasn't getting anything out of my center. We'll go center small, subwoofer yes, and surround small. So now let's try that test again. That works. That works. Perfect. Now the center's coming out of the center, sub out of the sub. Right, left out of the right, left. And right. These are backwards. I have to move. I got them mixed up when I was hooking them up, so I'll have to just place that speaker over there and vice versa. So it works. This is perfect. So now if I play a game or watch a movie, as long as I have the sound settings in that application, whether it be Netflix or the game I'm playing, if it's set up as 5.1, it's going to send all the proper channels to the proper speakers. And you're going to get that immersive surround sound. So when I'm playing like Call of Duty or something, someone's sneaking up behind me, I'm gonna hear their footsteps coming from behind me, right? Or if I'm watching a movie and a helicopter's flying over the screen or whatever, I'm gonna hear the sound come from behind over, like that's how surround sound works. It's awesome. Now that everything's hooked up and working, I'll go over the way everything's hooked up, just in case there's any confusion. So sound and video out of my GPU and into the input of my receiver. The receiver takes those signals, sends the sound to the amplifier section, and sends each channel to each respective speaker. The receiver breaks the video signal from the initial two signals coming in. It takes the video and sends it out on this outlet to my TV. That's it.